Good afternoon and welcome to the 1011 streaming studio. I'm Madison Pitch, joined by Jared Monero with Lincoln Lancaster County Crime Stoppers. Jared, we've agreed already, kind of a slow day for both of us.
Yeah. I think we're both a little overloaded right now.
Yeah, so have a little patience with us as we run through this because we have got a stack of things to get through. So we might as well just get started, shall we?
Let's do it. Jump in.
The first case we're talking about is actually a Lancaster County case. Jared, can you explain to us what we've got going on here?
So Lancaster County Sheriff's, they're working this. They asked for maybe some help on this case yesterday. And basically what ends up happening is on August 3rd, this maroon Buick LeSabre gets stolen from a driveway near about 162nd and O Street. Obviously, auto theft, that's something important. And then it kind of ends up getting to tie into a whole bunch of other cases. Within that same hour, we also had a white Kia Sorento that got stolen from 154th and Van Dorn, kind of in the same area, just both of those just kind of east of town. Right. And however, in that case, the Kia Sorento, we were able to recover that car within a mile from where it was stolen. Okay. So we don't know if they just abandoned it or something, but it was obviously, they stole it and dropped it off pretty close to home. So we're still looking for this Buick LeSabre, however. While that's being said, we also had a sighting of that vehicle in Walmart about 6 hours after it was stolen. And what ends up happening is a wallet was stolen from a vehicle, a third vehicle. That wallet, the contents of that wallet were then used in a transaction up in Omaha at a Walmart. And we got these pictures of this male here. So we're hoping maybe somebody can identify him and tie him, because we believe he's probably related to multiple cases that the sheriff are working right now. We also know that there's video from a residence in Utah, Nebraska, which is close to Omaha, and they were working a case of somebody breaking into a vehicle there that we think could probably be related to this whole string. And then finally, we also had a stolen Ford Escape located near 98th and Fletcher that we also believe is probably here. So we got 3 different stolen autos. They broke into at least a couple of cars that we know of at least. And then obviously a fraud where they used those credit cards up at the Walmart in Omaha.
So potential charges definitely would be a heap.
Yeah, you're looking at felony level stuff here. So.
Yeah. A couple things that stood out to me from that video. He was wearing a mask.
Yep. I don't know. It's pretty typical still. Prior to COVID, that would have stood out and people probably would have been paying attention to it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping maybe someday as a society we'll get to the point where we don't have to wear masks and we don't find that socially acceptable in stores, because it makes it very difficult for law enforcement, for loss prevention.
Yeah, that's something I had never considered.
Yeah, from the very beginning in 2020, that was one of my concerns. It's going to make it a lot harder for some of the things we have to do.
Yeah. Second thing is, obviously, crime, not good. Don't commit crime. But this is kind of, I imagine something like this where it's a case that snowballs and you're able to connect. It's kind of gold for you guys.
It's always... It's kind of like a discovery. I mean, when you're doing an investigation, and it's exciting because you can follow one lead that leads to another lead that leads to another lead. And obviously with these cases, we have multiple stolen vehicles. My guess is in this kind of case, you don't typically know exactly what you're looking for until you start finding it. And then when somebody reported somebody broke into their car, you follow that lead, you go to Walmart, you get the video, and then in that video, here's this guy driving the exact same vehicle you know was stolen in another case. Yeah. So all of a sudden, all these cases that were originally independent, you're able to just kind of go, hey, all those puzzle pieces start fitting together, and now we've got a much bigger thing than just one crime.
That Ring camera is super helpful for you guys.
Not just Ring, but anything else. Yeah, any doorbell camera, any surveillance on a house or a business has been really a gold mine for us in law enforcement.
Now, this is just hypothesizing. 162nd and O, 154th and Van Dorn, Utah. You're all kind of out there. Were these keys just left in these cars?
I don't know the details on these. It kind of depends. I mean, sometimes we'll have, I would say more than not, a lot of times people are leaving keys in a vehicle or they're able to access the key somehow on a lot of these stolen cases, especially when we're talking with some of the juveniles that we've had in the past where they've broken into multiple cars. They find keys in those cars and then they'll take them for a joyride. Okay. But you do have people, and this may be one of those, I can't say for sure, where they're more of a career criminal and they know how to actually get into a vehicle, start a vehicle even without the key. Yeah. So it just depends on the case. I can't say on this case which one it is.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when I saw the Kia. I know Kias have
Yep.
are easily stealable.
Those
is
right now
what
are
I'm
notorious. And I know at the police department we actually had a benefit, or not, I'm not sure if benefit would be the right word, but they were doing a program where they were trying to give away the clubs.
Steering locks.
Yep, just to help people with Kias. So I don't know if we have any left, but if you have a Kia and you're looking for it, you can always contact us to see if we had any of those left in that program.
Definitely. And Jared, you know what time it is. If you know anything about this case, how do you make a tip?
Well, Crime Stoppers is probably your best stop if you want to remain anonymous and or you want to get a reward for your information. Obviously, you can call the police department, but you're not eligible for those rewards, and you probably won't stay anonymous in those cases. So if you want to contact the police department, you can call that number, 402-441-6000. That is the non-emergency number. Prefer you don't call 911 on these kind of cases. But if you want to remain anonymous, you can call that Crime Stopper number of 402-475-3600 to talk to one of our dispatchers that basically will take your information and pass it on to an officer eventually as it goes through the Crime Stopper program. Of course, you can go to online to see LincolnCrimeStoppers.com to see all of the cases we're working, and you can leave tips online at that location. And finally, you have the P3 app, which is something you can get on your phone. You can just search for the letter P and the number 3, download that app, and then you can basically give anonymous tips through your cell phone.
All right. Another important case to cover.
Yep.
I've got to know more about Zoo Done It.
Yes.
Walk me through what Zoo Done It is, when it's happening, how people can participate.
Sure. I don't know if you've ever heard of Brew at the Zoo, but it's kind of like Brew at
sure
the Zoo,
have.
but with an investigation.
Cool.
You get to hang out with some of our crime scene techs and see how we investigate a crime. You will be given a kind of a scenario, a case that happens while you're there. And as you go through the zoo, there's going to be alcohol, non-alcohol, food, and crime scenes that you're going to be going and you're going to be discovering as you go through the children's zoo. Should be a great night. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. As you investigate your crime, you're probably going to come up with some suspects. Hopefully you can figure out which suspect is the one Zoo Done It. And then at the end, there's going to be some prizes for those people that maybe caught the right bad guy.
All right.
We're looking forward to it. It's basically on Friday, August 25th. If you want tickets, you probably need to jump on that pretty quick because that's only in a couple weeks. It starts at 5:30 and will go to about 9 o'clock at night. And if you need tickets for that, you can obviously go to the LincolnCrimeStoppers.com website. We've got a link right there at the top of the page that can send you to it, or you can scan that QR code on the screen right now. That will take you to the page that you can buy the tickets. Tickets are currently about $75 if you're going individually, $70 if you're buying multiple. But keep in mind that's all inclusive of food, alcohol, and drinks, and the event itself. So it should be a really good time. It's a fundraiser just for Crime Stoppers. We're pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think that's going to be super fun. You know, as a kid who loved Nancy Drew, Encyclopedia Brown, I think this is right up my alley.
Absolutely. We'll see how good you are. See if you learn anything in your books.
No, Jared, this is my favorite time of the month. We're going to talk about clearance rates for you guys. So something we do here in this Crime Stopper segment, or that we're trying to do, is walking through cases that we've covered in the past to see if we've gotten any tips on them, just to kind of keep you guys updated on what's going on. So the first one that we've got, let me see if I remember how to work this thing.
Slow day, remember?
Yes.
We're going to have a slow day.
Is this case. Walk me through what happened here and what you know.
So basically in this case, it was a Star Tram bus driver that had his bag behind him in the bus, and this guy got on, and when he left, he ended up taking the Star Tram bus driver's bag and just walking off the bus. We had 2 different tips that came in this case. Both of those tips did identify the suspect. One of them even provided a link to the story from 1011, so obviously
great.
they're watching you guys and got the information from there. So we ended up catching up with him on August 3rd. He was arrested on a separate offense, and then when we went and talked to him, he did admit to taking the bag. So he was cited for that theft.
Yeah, and that happened in May, so we got it in August.
Took a while.
Yeah.
We finally caught up to him.
The second one we've got here, walk me through what we're seeing in this one.
So in this case, this was back in May as well, May 24th, and a house at the basically on the corner of 28th and Orchard, kind of in that area. They had a bike on the porch. This guy kind of sneaks up there at 4:30 in the morning, grabs the bike, and takes off. It was a silver Mongoose bike that he took. We did get a couple of tips on this case, followed up on them, and unfortunately at this point we just don't have enough information to make a good case on this individual. So if somebody does recognize him and can give us more information somehow on that, maybe they know where that bike is, or just give us a great idea on this guy, we just could never get there with the tips we got on this.
Yeah, so you have 2 separate names that you got from tips.
Yeah, we got 2 different names, which can happen, especially in like in this case, you got night vision camera. It's kind of hard to see. Somebody can see that and think it's their ex, or it happens. So hopefully, somebody can give us another better tip on that.
Okay, so that happened May 24th near 28th and Orchard. This next one we're going to talk about. Let me flip to the right thing. Tell me about what we're seeing here.
So back on May 13th, we ended up talking about this on June 6th. There was a construction trailer that was stolen from a residence near Coosier Elementary. And basically there's a whole bunch of ladders and planks. And they valued all the trailer and everything, probably around a total of $22,000 worth of equipment that was on this trailer and the trailer. So we're looking for any tips on this. We haven't got any tips on it. But that vehicle has kind of a ladder rack on the back of it. We're hoping maybe it would help key somebody in and like give us a tip on maybe who owns that truck.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Do you think any of that stuff could have been resold?
It's very possible. I mean, ladders and planks. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the resale value on planks is.
Me neither.
The trailer itself, I mean, that's like $17,000. Or I'm sorry, the trailer is about $5,000. $17,000 of ladders and equipment on there.
Okay.
So even if you just stole the trailer for the trailer purposes, maybe they're using it. Maybe they got their boat on it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, this next one. Tell me what we're seeing here.
So we talked about this guy back in June, and on May 29th, he just ended up having a disturbance with a bus driver. He was upset because he missed the stop, and the bus driver was in the street, and he basically blocks the bus driver from driving down the street. Ends up getting upset, throwing a water bottle at the bus. Obviously, it can be a frustrating situation where when you missed your bus, but this isn't appropriate to block up all the traffic and make a huge scene. So we're just looking to identify him. We have got no tips on this guy. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure he's local in this case. So we're hoping somebody knows him.
Yeah, lots of stuff happening on the bus in this Crime Stoppers.
Can happen, I guess. Yeah.
Tell me what this is.
So we talked about this one, and this would have been occurring on July 6th. So just after the 4th of July, basically, this kind of turned into a bigger case. This guy's sitting in his car at Target on North 48th Street waiting to go into work, and I'm not sure if there was any kind of discussion between him and another vehicle, which he described as a black Nissan Armada. They end up throwing a firework into this Target employee's car, and it goes off while he's in the car. It ends up, that plate turned out that it was stolen on the vehicle, and so we have recovered it. We've recovered the vehicle that was stolen, but we're just trying to figure out who the occupants of that vehicle were. So, rumors go around and this kind of stuff, so we're maybe hoping that they talked about it somewhere, I don't know, school, work, something like that, said, hey, it was funny, we blew up a car. We're hoping that somebody will just give us a tip on who maybe was driving that stolen vehicle and threw fireworks in this guy's car.
Yeah, that could have been so much worse, because he wasn't seriously injured at all, was
No,
he?
he got very lucky in that case. Obviously, you can see it caused quite a bit of damage to the passenger seat of that car, so it looks like a pretty good-sized firework.
Yeah, those can be so dangerous. This next one, tell me about Sassy.
Sassy. This is kind of an interesting one because on July 6th, Sassy was reported stolen by her owner. Basically, reported they woke up to someone in their house at about 56th and Normal, and this white female pit bull named Sassy was then stolen. It's the only thing they could find in the house that was stolen. We had some information originally that it could be related to someone. We weren't really sure. We didn't have great tip on that. We got 2 tips that came in that we weren't really sure that it gave us the information we needed to find Sassy in those tips, though, so they weren't really helpful in that way. But what was interesting is that while you and I were talking about this, some people at the police department happened to be watching it, and they had arrested a female the night before and recalled that there was this pit bull in that residence. And so literally within an hour of you and I talking about it, they went back to that residence, found Sassy there, and Sassy went back to her owner, and based on the tail wag, she was pretty happy to go back home.
That's great. Jared, that might have been my favorite email from you, because I was getting some messages from people on Facebook saying Sassy had been found.
Yep.
So I wanted to email with you and double check, and you said happy tail wags occurred. So I'm glad to see that one worked itself out. And this is our last case that we're going to go over. Tell me about what's happening here.
So in this case, we were talking about how this female came into Dick's Sporting Goods on July 6th. She's got this stroller, and she's got it covered with a baby blanket, like there's a baby sleeping in it. And in the end, what she ends up doing is taking a bunch of golf shoes out of that aisle and loads 12 of those golf shoes into that stroller and pushes them out. We talked about this as about a $1,200 loss. We talked about it on July 19th, and since then we've actually figured out that this is related not just to this case. We have 3 other cases.
Oh, man.
So she hit Dick's again on 8/2, so August 2nd. She also hit the shoe warehouse, that DSW, at 400 North 48th Street, so it's at 48th and R Street, on July 5th and July 22nd. And she was accompanied by a male carrying a baby who was probably supposed to be in the stroller, not the shoes.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that maybe somebody can give us a good tip on who this female is. My guess is because they've been here on the 6th of July, the 5th of July, the 22nd of July, and August 2nd, they're probably local. They're probably not a traveling group. So we're hoping somebody in the community here can say, I know that person.
Kind of bold of them to go to the designer shoe warehouse twice.
Twice, yes. You know, we see that sometimes. Somebody pulls off a crime at one store and they think, hey, that was easy. They go back, they do it again. And there's kind of law enforcement, we kind of know that if they keep making mistakes, eventually they're going to make a big enough mistake that we can catch them. So we're hoping that maybe if she just continues to do this, they'll make a mistake, we'll catch something on video that we need, or somebody's going to look at that video and say, hey, got him, we know who that is.
Yeah. Jared, if anybody knows anything about these cases that we just ran through, they can make anonymous tips. Tell me why those anonymous tips are important.
So obviously for people that are concerned about being identified, maybe they're related to the person that did this crime, or like an ex-boyfriend, or afraid of retaliation from gang or something like that. Some people don't want to tell the cops about it because they're just afraid. And so Crime Stoppers exists just to protect those people. So if you call Crime Stoppers and you give your information to them, they're going to protect your information from ever being released, so that the bad guy in that case isn't going to find out you were the one that did that tip. So if you want a reward as well, you have to call Crime Stoppers, because that has to go through that program. If you identify yourself in any way, that could put the Crime Stopper program in jeopardy, because we don't want people to distrust the Crime Stopper program.
Yeah.
So if you want a reward, you have to go through Crime Stoppers. So again, to stay anonymous and to get a tip, you have to go through that Crime Stoppers program.
And in your experience, how long have you been working with Crime Stoppers?
Probably about 13 years is my guess. Yeah.
So have you seen people come to you with anonymous tips that are like relieved to get this off their chest? They know more than anybody else knows about the situation?
Absolutely. You know, it's kind of funny in law enforcement. It's probably like in media. People will come up and talk to you about something, right? That they're like, hey, I know you're in this field and I want to talk to you. So we'll get people who's like, hey, I know the person in that, but I'm afraid to talk about it. So we've heard it from people, and we'll say, well, if you know something, you need to call Crime Stoppers, because they're afraid to talk about it, and we don't want to put that in a report and jeopardize them. So in that sense, I've seen it personally. I've had friends that have known people in these videos, and they've called me, and I'm like, don't tell me you need to call Crime Stoppers. I don't want to know. So you could tell that a lot of times they're relieved. Sometimes it's because their relative is involved in drug activity, and this might be exactly what they need to get clean. They need to hit rock bottom, and that gets them into the programs and kind of gets them in the system, and maybe it'll help them get out of that problem in their life. Yeah,
and the best way to report to Crime Stoppers is that 3600 number?
Yep, that 475-3600.
Okay, or the P3 app.
P3 or go online.
Or you can go online.
Absolutely.
All right, look at me. I could do that.
You got it.
I could do your job for you, Jared.
Yeah, I'm going to leave, and you can take over now.
That's all we have for you today. Don't forget, Zoo Done It is August 25th.
Yep. Buy your tickets now. We've only got a few
left. Tickets are available.
Left.
We have a QR code on our website. You can find them there.
Great.
Anything else?
That's it. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Jared. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.